Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving into how one single national biofuel policy is directly threatening the food security of literally half the globe. We're getting into the palm oil panic. It's a classic conflict of food versus fuel, but it's playing out on a scale we've honestly never seen before.
Okay, we have to kick things off right away with this massive, undeniable number just to really grasp the sheer gravity of the situation. 3 billion. That is the number of people on Earth right now who rely on palm oil. 3 billion. And suddenly, Indonesia, which is the undisputed king of palm oil production, has decided to, well, burn it as fuel instead. So now you have 3 billion people directly competing with domestic gas tanks.
And what are those billions of people actually using it for? Look, palm oil is the absolute bedrock of daily cooking across South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Africa. And the reason why is pretty simple. It's the absolute cheapest vegetable oil available in the developing world. For vast swaths of the global population, we're not talking about some luxury ingredient or processed food additive here. It is the fundamental primary cooking fat that literally makes their daily meals possible.
Section 1. The corn ethanol precedent.
To really wrap our heads around the scale of this emerging crisis, let's anchor it to a historical precedent you might already know, the U.S. corn ethanol story. We've actually seen this dynamic before, right? Diverting a major food crop to fuel cars, creating this massive new demand center. But the contrast here is wild. The U.S. uses E10 to E15 blends, meaning 10 to 15% ethanol in the fuel. And that's a policy that generally impacted, wealthier consumers. But this Indonesian palm oil situation, it is massively amplified. The mandate is way more aggressive, and the vulnerable consumers getting squeezed are vastly poorer. It's that exact same core story of food being transformed into fuel, but with stakes that are just astronomically higher.
Section 2, Indonesia's B35 fuel mandate. So let's look at the actual mechanics driving this crisis over in Indonesia. This is the B35 mandate. It's an Indonesian policy requiring a massive 35% palm oil content in every single liter of diesel sold domestically. Now, the original design of this policy totally makes sense on paper. It's meant to reduce their reliance on imported oil, especially when the globe is feeling a bit unstable. But in practice, this specific policy means that every single ton of palm oil pumped into a local gas tank is a ton permanently removed from the global cooking oil market.
And the crucial driver here is this figure, $108. With Brent crude oil sitting at $108 a barrel, producing biodiesel isn't just some annoying government mandate they have to follow. It is an incredibly profitable, frankly irresistible economic choice for Indonesian palm oil mills. They're not just reluctantly complying, the economics absolutely demand that they divert maximum volumes straight into biodiesel production. And this spills into a much deeper structural problem. You might actually remember the temporary export bans Indonesia put in place back in 2022 to secure their own supply, which of course caused global cooking oil prices to just absolutely skyrocket. But here's the catch. Unlike those temporary bans, this current B35 biofuel pull, it's permanent. It's structural, because the economics so heavily favor fuel over food right now. This mandate acts as a permanent siphon on the world's cheapest vegetable oil. It's literally baked right into the infrastructure of their energy grid now.
Section 3. A squeezed global market.
Now, you're probably wondering, well, why can't these billions of people just switch to a different cooking oil? Like, if palm oil is being burned up in cars, surely there's another cheap option out there, right? Actually, no. The entire global vegetable oil market is being constrained from every possible direction right now. Soybean oil, that's being heavily diverted to U.S. renewable diesel. Rapeseed oil, diverted to European biodiesel. And palm oil is getting squeezed by both Indonesia's B35 mandate and similar biodiesel pulls over in Malaysia, which is the world's second largest producer. Basically, the entire global vegetable oil market is turning into an energy market, and that leaves virtually zero cheap food alternatives for developing nations.
Section 4, Impossible kitchen choices.
Let's zoom way down from the global macro markets to the literal dinner table. We're looking at daily budgets of just $1 to $2. Think about that for a second. This is the incredibly tight daily food budget for an average household in places like India, Nigeria, or Bangladesh. Think about the margins there. When you're trying to feed a family on $1 or $2 a day, there is absolutely zero room to absorb huge macroeconomic shocks.
So what happens when a structural mandate like B35 drives cooking oil prices up by, say, 30%? Well, it forces these vulnerable households into making some agonizing, truly impossible choices just to survive. We're talking about cooking less food entirely, or drastically cutting back on oil, which, drastically reduces their daily caloric intake. Or they have to swap out their meals for food of vastly lower nutritional value.
This whole biofuel versus food competition, it is not an abstract commodities issue. It directly, literally impacts the daily meals of billions of people.
To really sum up the core of this whole crisis, consider this. The biofuel mandate was designed to reduce oil dependency. It's diverting the world's most important cooking oil. It's wild. Ultimately, what started as a highly rational, smart strategy for Indonesia to secure their own domestic energy during global crises is now exporting a massive food security nightmare to the world's most vulnerable populations.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder. Should Indonesia be expected to reduce its biodiesel mandate during a global food crisis? Does global food security trump national energy independence? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, because I would love to hear how you weigh this incredibly complex dilemma. And hey, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next explainer, where we'll be tackling the fascinating ammonia shipping crisis. Catch you there.